Hello dear friends, this is Jeannie from Metal Dollhouse Rescue, and I'm back in my workroom, and tonight I'm doing something, to me it's always so fun. I am starting a new project, and it's one honestly I put off for a while. I've got Grandma here to give me some moral support and some help, keep me company, but I'm going to start working on my 1948 Cohn house. And my issue with this house is that I have two of these houses and they're both in pieces, and as I recall, one's in pretty good condition and the other one's going to need some more help and work done to it. Both of them need cleaned up and so on. So it's been daunting to me to think about getting both of those out and sorting them out and so on. But we're going to get started tonight. So I think what we're going to do tonight is get everything out on my work table, analyze it, divide it into the better house and then the house that needs more work, and then start to clean them up. So I think that's what we're going to do tonight. And I think my format this time is I'm going to do 2 or 3 segments. So this segment will be sorting and cleaning, and then we'll do a segment for painting, and then maybe the third segment will be polishing and putting together. That's kind of my thought. So this is going to be segment number 1. Let's look at it. All right, dear friends, I've got all these pieces out, and I do have 2 complete houses. I also have the roofs to both of these houses, and they are in good condition, but I'm going to keep them up on the shelf for now. We'll get them out towards the end and make sure, examine them real well. But I think they're in good condition. I've got them kind of sorted by size, and I put Grandma up there in her house. I don't know if you can see her up there. She's keeping an eye on me, but she's up there for safety, make sure I don't bump her down or lose her. So we're going to start out. This is the famous swan wall from the bathroom. Really pretty graphics, and this one is in excellent condition, although it's a little faded, but all the graphics look really, really nice. And the back of it is also in good shape. So I'm going to call this my A house. The best house is going to be the A house. This is going to be the same swan wall, which is not quite as faded, but I'm going to probably call it the B house, the not quite as good, because up here it had adhesive and it's pulled off part of the graphics there. Not too bad, but I'm going to have to touch that up with paint, and I don't know how it'll look. But my guess is this is going to be the B house. It'll still be in nice shape. The back's not bad, but that'll be my house. I'm going to call it the B house. All right, this is the, I think it's like the dining room and living room wall. They're both in real good condition. Hard to tell them apart. So, don't know what makes the big difference. We're going to have house A and house B. This is one of the kitchen walls. And then the outside, or I guess that's a living room wall. This one's a little more faded, so we'll call this one A and we'll call this one B. I'm going to load up house A with all the very best quality walls, although as you can see, both of these are really nice. This is the upstairs, the master bedroom wall, I believe, and then the outside patio. They are both in good shape also. This one's a little less faded. Call him A. All right, this is the bigger kitchen wall that is also the outside wall. And it's got a little bit of paint gone here, not very much. This will be A. This one's going to be B. As you can see, this wall has probably the most damage that we've seen so far. I'll be able to touch all that up with paint, but we're going to call that the B wall, although the outside is certainly pretty. A little less faded than the other one. We'll see. My guess is this is going to be A and this one's going to be B. Sometimes when you clean them up, they'll surprise you. All right, this is the big end wall. It's got the living room and then the nursery upstairs. And the outside, this one's in good shape. This one is also, I think, in good shape. This one was one of the first houses I got when I started collecting. Maybe it was like the 3rd house. And it had quite a rust spot here, and I have already patched that up. And I had showed pictures of that one other time. So I may do a little more color matching on that, but really I did a pretty good job on that. So I think either one of these could be A or B. They're both in excellent condition. This one I know originally came with the B house. I'm going to put him with the B. He's the one I've already done some touch-up on. All right, this is the downstairs floor. This was originally my B house, and you can see it needs quite a little bit of work over here on the very edge in the living room. And this one, the A house, just needs cleaned. The graphics are really, really good on it. I will say on this B house, the one I've had quite a while, I have already done some cleanup work on it. It was more of a site at the start, but I've already done some cleanup on it, and it's not too bad, but it can be a little better. So this one's going to be A. And this one's going to be B. Put him on the right. One on the left and one on the right. All right. This is the upstairs floors. And this is, again, this was originally my B house, the one I got first. It's got some damage here and quite a bit of damage on the patio. These two rooms don't look bad. Like I said, I've already done some cleanup. There was a lot of adhesive on this floor, and there's still a little bit left. And I'm going to use my newer method to get that off. And I'll show that to you again. I've done it in other videos, but I'll show that to you again when I clean this. And then this is the A house, which is almost perfect condition, although a little faded. But since the fading is there at the back, I think that is going to be just a gorgeous house as it is. Well, I said it's towards the back, but it isn't. It'll be like this. But, you know, maybe we'll do something with that, but I think we're going to leave it. I think it's going to be a nice condition. Very nice. Nice house. And then this is the big outside wall. This is actually the front of the house. And this is the house that has all those little windows on it. And this one is missing 2 of them, which I may or may not have in my supplies. I guess this one's missing 3 of them. But the house is in good condition. It's missing its door. The paint looks really good on this. Let's look at the other one. This one is also missing 3 windows. I don't know what we'll do. We'll talk about it when we get there, what we're gonna do. This is also in very good condition, probably a little better condition. We'll call this one A. All right, they're sorted out. Let's get him cleaned up. All right, I've got my A house here first. I'm gonna do it first. But I'm going to go through the basics of how I like to clean these, just in case you're new to watching these videos. The first thing I do is use rubbing alcohol, and I spray it on the paper towel. I never spray directly on the houses. You want to avoid getting moisture on there. That can cause rust in the future, although rubbing alcohol should not. Also, when you clean, don't rub too hard. You can actually scrub those graphics off, and that's a little disappointing when that happens, although you may be able to touch them up. It's a little disappointing, so I try to avoid doing that. After I do that, I go over it with a nice cleaner. Either I use Awesome Cleaner from the Dollar Tree or the Spray 9 cleaner, which is an automotive cleaner. They both work really well. And then finally, I'll do one more coat. I'll go over it with this Armor All interior detailer just to make sure everything that's dirty comes off of there, because a lot of times you'll be surprised how nice they look just by cleaning them up. And remember, this is the better house. It's going to need very little paint touch up. Okay, let's get cleaning. Alright, so I've done one coat on this. This is my A house, and I use the rubbing alcohol, and I'm going to go over it again with this regular cleaner and then the Armor All. But I came across a couple of issues I want to share with you first. First, I want to tell you where I got this beautiful house. It was gifted to me by one of our group members, and she gifted it to me she didn't have a use for it, I guess, and it was missing the roof. But as you can see, it's in beautiful condition, but she knew that I would rehab it and either use it or pass it to someone else. So I covered the shipping, or chipped in on the shipping. And this house was, there was almost no dirt on it. And as I recall, she cleaned it before she sent it to me. So that's where I got this beautiful A house. She also knows I will photograph every wall and make these walls available to anybody that has missing walls, so you can print those off. So that's part of the deal, that I'll provide that service. And then at the end, I will probably pass this house along since I've had to buy a roof for it and rehab it, I will sell it when I pass it on. It's missing 2 of the windows, and you know, I may have taken those off to use them for my other house that I don't recall if those were there when I got it or not. But I'll think about what we're going to do with that as time goes on. But there's a little adhesive up here. I suppose at one time people had those windows taped shut. And after I clean everything, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about removing adhesive, because I do have a good method and we're going to try it on that and see how it works. The other thing I want to show you is the bottom of this, here's the bottom floor, which is in good shape, but the bottom underside of that has got some, I don't know, it's really not rust, but the paint is worn off there, maybe very lightly rusted. So I may sand that and paint this a nice dark green again, just to make that a nice finish. Not that it shows, but because that will help preserve that to help stop further deterioration. So down the road, I will probably get some green spray paint and do that. But those are the 2 things I wanted to show you. Let me go ahead and do the other coat of cleaning. As a reminder, I always spray on my paper towel, not on the house. You want to avoid getting moisture back, especially in those little rolled areas. That moisture can hang out and cause your house to rust down the road. So I always do on my paper towel, and don't rub too hard. You don't want to rub your pretty graphics off. Now I'm going to go over it with this Armor All. This just gives you one more chance to pick up any dirt that you might have missed. I'm only going to do 1 or 2 pieces here on camera, although I will be doing them all. But just I want to show you what I do, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about adhesive removal. So let's just do 1 or 2 of these on camera. All right, I used just 2 of those wipes. As I said, this house was really clean. I used just 2 of those wipes and did about half of the house with one, and then the other half of the house with the other. But there are a couple of things I noticed on this I want to point out to you. First of all, this is the bottom floor. It's got just a few little bends in it. I don't know if you can tell, it's just not quite flat. And I'm going to show you in our next session how to straighten that out. This piece has a few little bends, and I think one of the other walls did too. So I'm going to show you how to straighten that out, because we have not straightened out a floor on camera before. So that will be good for you to see, but we'll wait and do that next session. The other thing I wanted to show you is this floor. This is the upstairs floor. And I've heard you guys talk about this, and I had not seen it before, but it's got these little corner supports on it. And to tell the truth, I don't know if my bee house is complete with those or not, and I don't know how serious those are. Those are actually made out of metal. What I may do is take one off of there, flatten it out, make a pattern, and then I can cut and fold one for my bee house, and also make that available to anybody else that needs those. I've heard of you guys talking about needing those. There's the other one. So I had not noticed that, and I don't think my bee house has those. All right, let's take a look at some adhesive remover. All right, this house has several areas that have got like old tape stuck on it that we're going to remove, and I'm going to show you how to do that. There's several up here around these windows, and some of the other pieces have those too. And you might not be able to see it, but somebody has put tape on here, and the tape got old and got dry and got hard. Now, I've tried several things on other houses to remove that, and I've come across this method that works really well, and I've showed it before. The first thing I would try to do is remove anything with your finger that you can. In this case, the plastic tape is gone, and what is left up here is the adhesive. Now some of these other spots, I believe, let me look and see if I'm right. This spot over here, there's still a little bit of the plastic tape on there. So I'll use my fingernail and try to scrape that plastic off first, as much as I can, if I can get that off, and then we'll work on the adhesive. Now I have tried several things in the past, some not very successful. So number one, don't put tape on your houses. If you ever put tape on your house, only on like the bottom, or like if you put it up inside on the ceiling, you could put tape, or the very bottom of the bottom, the underneath side. But it will eventually leave this kind of mark. So, and it may also remove your graphics. So don't put tape on your houses. If you were going to do it temporarily, sometimes I'll put it on there temporarily. So let's work on this area. Now on this area, this is the tape sticky residue that's left. The plastic coating has already been removed, so there's just that sticky residue. And I don't know, I'm going to bring it up close so you can get a better look at it, so you can see what that looks like. You can see it's kind of discolored, and in person it is kind of an eyesore. And you know, and it's sticky. So let's take a look at it, see if we can get that off. So to do that, first of all, I use a damp rag, and I just used my same cleaner on there that I already cleaned with, and I've got my rag nice and damp, and I'm just going to go over that and make that damp. And then I use a wooden stick, and this is like a I think it's technically a kebab stick. It's pointed on one end. I've cut it in half so it's not so long, so the other end's blunt. But you could also use, I use anything wood, like a popsicle stick, or this is like a coffee stirrer. I've used those before too. And then you're just going to gently work on that, and see if you can get that adhesive to move around a little bit. And I can see it is moving around. I don't know if you can or not. And the nice thing about using this is you can tell by the feel of it where it's sticky. You know, you can tell the end of it is sensitive, so you can tell where it's sticky, and then I wipe it off. Then I go back and do it again. And if you do that and repeat it, and do that and repeat that, you can get that adhesive off. So I don't know if you can tell, you probably can't, but that adhesive is actually balling up there, and it is coming off. So it looks better, and actually it feels better because that was sticky on that spot. So there are several of those adhesive spots on here, and I am going to use that same technique on all of these and get that off. I do want to try another spot here. This one's not quite done. It'll need a little more of this same wiping with a damp cloth, and then scraping or rubbing, poking that around a little bit, and then wipe it off. All right, there's another one on here that still has the plastic on it, and I was going to try that same technique and see if it's successful or not. So this one, there is still plastic tape on there, the plastic coating. Let's see if this is effective in taking that off. I don't know if it will be or not. What I normally try to do is use my fingernail and try to scrape that off, but let's see how the stick technique works. If I can get that kind of loose or not to get that plastic coating off of there. Okay, I am able to get the end of my stick under the edge of that plastic and push that back. And when it gets big enough that I can grab a hold of it, I'm going to use my fingernails and see if I can get it pulled off. Yep, there it comes. So after you get that plastic off, then you'll continue with that. Dampen it, and scrape it, dampen it and scrape it until you get the adhesive off. Okay, up here I've even found a little of that plastic that's still on there. Now this tool I'm using is called, it's called a plastic razor blade. So it's just plastic, so I won't scratch my metal. And somebody had recommended that in our group, and I bought it on Amazon. And it's also useful if you've got fingernails like I do. You could try your fingernails. Otherwise, this is a nice tool to kind of scrape that off with. So this is a good way to get it too. So first you want to get that plastic coating off, that tape, Scotch tape coating, and then work on the adhesive. All right, dear friends, that is it for tonight. I'm going to continue to work on getting this adhesive off using the method I showed you, and then I'm going to clean the B house exactly like I did the A house. And so when I come back in our next session, I should be ready to paint. Thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Talk to you later.